Hey, how's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Well, we're about a month into our risk mitigation, risk management training we've been building into our supervision context. And I wanted to quickly just show you, like as part of routine performance monitoring, where your growth. And then we'll go in and get into our objective for today. So your baseline for defining risk mitigational steps was originally 60%. When we did some probes, you were able to just recall it easily without me having provided any recent instruction. So you met that threshold. Your baseline for identifying everyday examples in different environments and having clear links between the environment, activity, and potential points of entry that would interfere with those activities was originally 0%, and now you're able to easily do all like at least 10 examples with novel examples, and you've gotten very creative actually, which I've been impressed at how you've been even able to take up to things that are abstract, like in human relationships. So you're at 100%. And then we were recently your baseline for establishing those risks using that graphic. You initially were at like 20%. And then you recently just got past that threshold and were able to do 100%. So you're at reaching IOA with me on all examples I pull up. And now today we're going to go into identifying and developing solutions to reduce those risks using that same graphic we've been working off of. When I asked you to do your baseline with me, you said you went ahead and assessed yourself. You asked to be established at 0%. So we did just go ahead and that per your own request, we went there. So that just guides my instructional behavior, and I'll go through full BST with you. Any questions? Great. Perfect. All right, so here we are. This is where we are. We're just going to start with where we left on our most recent teaching examples from a previous objective where I was modeling relative to looking at the activities and environments and where risk could be introduced. We'll take the one where we talked about cell phones as one potential risk that would interrupt the main activity of driving in a car, legal and safe driving. And in a previous session, we practiced the whole graphic where we looked at severity, how severe that potential risk is for that environment and activity, the likelihood and risk. And so we had done this in a previous one. And right now, the main task is as part of risk mitigation, which is part of the risk management cycle, the 4-step process. This is where we evaluate how to reduce it, which is step 3, where you evaluate after you've analyzed the risk, because something like, as we identified your out of stock item when we did a few weeks ago, when we talked about the grocery store, that's a very low level risk, right? And so that doesn't require necessarily any immediate action because of the potential low risk. But here we're looking out for things that are definitely high as risk impact. We need to come up with, make some decisions. And in this situation, we're trying to reduce risk through risk mitigation. So evaluate risk mitigation strategies. So we're going to, in this situation, cell phones. So my suggestions would be hands-free devices would be one solution, because then that allows the person to keep their eyes up, hypothetically, which then allows for that main focus to be on the road, which it has to be for legal and safe driving. I'm thinking of things like Apple CarPlay. Sorry, I'm just thinking of ones I know, CarPlay features, and then I think it's there's something for Droid, a Droid version of that are technology built into cars now. So built-in technology is an option. No cell phone in the car, no cell phone in the car, in car, like as a rule. Another thing could be do not disturb mode. You can turn on your devices. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it can sense if you're in motion. You can turn that feature on, turn that on. So that you don't hear alerts and notifications. So those are things that I would say we could do from just reducing the level of risk for those competing behaviors that would occur if we're trying to do a second activity, because the reality is people will have their cell phones in the car. So how we reduce the level of risk of them taking their eyes off the road, that could introduce obstruction to the driving, meaning like a car accident or something, or running off the road. Okay, so those are just some ideas that I would come up with. And I'd like for you to now, let's take your example where we had already previously evaluated, and I went ahead and put in your information from the previous analysis. And now I would like for you to talk through what do you think would be ways to reduce risks associated with water inside an entrance due to weather related like storms of the water being, so meaning the slip and falling. What are some things that you think would reduce that likelihood?
Like walking in and looking at the floor, especially if you know it's raining, pay attention, like
So
situational awareness, like knowing what's
yeah, so what I would like for you to do is think if you're the owner of the grocery store.
if I'm the owner.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you have the responsibility to reduce the risk. Let's start there first for your
Okay.
your customer. So we're not putting the responsibility on the customer.
Okay. I got it. Using like the safety cones, you can do the orange cones or the caution wet floor signs that they have. You can put those up. You can have an employee stand and monitor the area and let customers know, like, hey, there's wet floor, please go around, like block that until someone's able to come and clean that up.
Mhm.
Um, you can have the cleanup materials easily accessible towards the front of the store, so it's not that anyone has to go searching for it. To give you like any employee could have like easy access to go wipe it up. Like, let's say if there's, some sort of mop or something, they can just be nearby to grab at the entrance when it is. They can, if it's raining outside, they can have someone just frequently go like out after a certain amount of time has passed, go back and mop the floor up and dry it, like regular routine cleanup.
Mhm.
Um,
These are really good. I'm loving everything in the direction, and there's some things I'm thinking of right away too to kind of get. I want you to think things that would require less resources, right? From like so thinking of human resources, things that environmental changes you could make to reduce the risk, such as like Apple CarPlay, right, where it's just built in and it's just a feature that's there. I'm thinking of also like really heavy absorbent mats at the front,
yeah,
like
yeah, they would say that like the help. Yeah, I
okay,
was thinking the same now that you
okay, perfect, okay, good. So I'll always try to think along the lines what's requires the least amount of monitoring from like another
got it.
person. And then another thing I'm thinking along the lines is also have you seen where they have like wet umbrella things now, where like the clear plastic bags, if you have an umbrella that
Oh
you can
yeah,
put it in so it's not dripping. So they kind of prompt people, hey, like cover up your wet umbrella so you're not dripping everywhere.
yeah.
So like offering like materials to contain the water, umbrella
Mhm.
bags. Okay, perfect. And so these would be a variety of options that the store could consider because this is considered a high risk that we would help reduce basically the disruption of someone coming in, slipping and falling and not being able to engage in the activity of purchasing their groceries. So these are all strategies that reduce that because it is rated as high. Okay. All right, so what we'll do is we'll continue to work on these examples in our sessions until we get through and you're able to do 10 exemplars that are not are novel and able to produce clear examples that the potential business or entity has to develop, and that the responsibility would not be on the actual customer or user
Okay.
in our examples. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.